Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Jamie, for that introduction. And hopefully, that was my new perfume that my mommy got me at Christmas. So I'm debuting it today. So thank you so much, Jamie, and great to see everybody here this morning. I'm Eimear from Tourism NI, and I'm joined today by many great colleagues right around the room. So without embarrassing everybody from Tourism NI, but can you put up your hands just so people see where the Tourism NI people are around the room? Hi, everybody, great. So a visual introduction. So I am a white female, I'm medium height, I have brown hair to my shoulder, and today I'm wearing a green top, blue trousers and yellow shoes. And yes, I did purposely choose that combination. I know it's a bit random now that I've said it out loud, but yeah, I think it'll work for today. So I do love bright colours. So I'm delighted to join you all this morning to update you on our collective efforts to embrace accessibility and inclusion in the tourism industry. And tourism continues to grow, and you don't need me to tell you that because you're the people who are responsible for that growth. In 2023, tourism delivered 1.2 billion of economic impact for Northern Ireland, supporting over 70,000 jobs, with 70% being outside of Belfast, showing our sector's ability to drive inclusive growth. And over the next 10 years, we want to grow even further to 2 billion per annum. And you're all a real important part of that journey. So whilst economic impact is very important, so also is the social impact. And tourism with our inclusive and accessible tourism is a real key work stream for us going forward. Our brand, Embrace a Giant Spirit, which you're all familiar with, promises visitors authentic experiences, the chance to meet local people in local communities. It promises a warm welcome to every visitor who comes here, and we want to ensure that that giant welcome is extended to absolutely everybody, and that all visitors of all abilities have the opportunity to be fully present in the moment and really enjoy their time here. So, what is inclusive tourism? Well, hopefully, we will find out more today. It's all about making this place accessible and enjoyable for all, as Jamie has said, regardless of age, ability, background, or identity. And we're hopefully here today to talk all about our research, our new toolkit, e learning modules, and hear from some great industry who are already active in this space. And hopefully, we will give you today some tools to really improve your visitor experiences, support your staff on this journey as well, and really strengthen your business's reputation and the destination reputation. So today's all about getting started and realizing, as Jamie has said, there's many small and simple ways that we can embed inclusion and accessibility in our businesses, so it becomes second nature. So we're not just thinking about it standalone, we're thinking about it as part of our overall business. So let's look at the stats. You know, we love a few statistics. So market research demonstrates the need for this work, and you will have heard reference before to the purple pound, and a term which indicates the spending power of disabled people. And as a broad indicator, Visit England did research back in 2023, which outlined the value of the purple pound in England, and it was valued at a total of £14.6 billion for the local economy there. So there's both the economic reason to service this market, but also the societal reason this is the right thing to do. So the market need here in Northern Ireland, 1 in 5 people say they have additional visitor needs, with 1 in 10 travelling with someone with accessibility needs. And in the south, our largest tourism market, 1 in 10 either have accessibility requirements or travel with someone who has. So they are sizable groups of our target market. A key takeaway from today will all be about communication, the need to communicate your accessibility features through your various channels, through your website, your Facebook page, Instagrams. And here we see that 2/3 of people are looking for that information online. They're looking before they go so they can plan their journey. But only 1/3 are able to find this information readily online. And this is an area my colleague Mark will be looking at later on in more detail. So about 18 months ago, within Tourism NI, an internal working group sat down to look at how we were supporting you, our industry, embed inclusion and accessibility in your tourism business. And we started to develop our plan. And first of all, we needed to fully understand the levels of knowledge within the industry to help us. And we needed to understand even ourselves what this was all about. So we designed an industry survey. This was in partnership with Disability Action, who were fantastic in helping us shape the right questions. And nearly 500 tourism businesses participated, representing a wide range of tourism businesses, from accommodation to attractions and everything in between. And the survey really helped us to understand how the industry rate the accessibility of their businesses. And, as you can see there's golf clubs, conference venues, and we looked at key areas. So the first one was accessibility of your businesses. And results illustrated that only 55% of businesses saw their business as being fully accessible. And I know, Jamie, you would say that no business is fully accessible, so we would have to reword that question going forward. Positively, however, nearly 70% perceived accessibility as very important, which was a great starting point. The second area we looked at was knowledge and engagement. And here we see a clear knowledge gap, with over half considering their knowledge in this area to be average or poor. 75% of businesses have not yet engaged with an external organisation to seek advice, and 63% had not conducted an accessibility assessment to help them inform and improve on their offering. And of the 23% who actually had conducted an accessibility audit, only then 23% had undertaken any specific action. So the businesses had gone to the effort of doing the audit, but then had not implemented any of the actions or put the knowledge into practice. So we then looked at disability legislation and staff training, and 42% stated they were not aware of any legislation relating to disability legislation or compliance, which is quite stark. Positively, however, of those who were aware, a range of initiatives were delivered to staff, mainly around disability or equality training, but also covering areas like deaf-blind, autism and sign language. We then looked at how businesses promote their accessibility features, and recalling just how important that information is in the planning stage, as we had mentioned earlier. So nearly 60% of tourism businesses do not promote their accessibility provision. But note here the sectoral differences that we've seen throughout the survey, with visitor attractions scoring much better here than other areas of tourism. And that's likely because the size, they maybe have more staff, there's more requirements for them to deliver this type of experience. And another stark fact is 65% of businesses do not have a formal accessibility statement or a commitment to do better. So it's all quite stark, isn't it? So let's look now at the good news. So there were high ratings across the board of tourism businesses that recognise that they actually can do better. They can do better with their premises, they can do better with their marketing and communications, they can do better with their staff training, and also the accessibility of their website, which Jamie had alluded to earlier. And we asked, what could Tourism NI and what can other partners do to help? Not surprisingly, the top answer was financial assistance. No matter what we ask, that is the top answer. But there was numerous other interventions called out. Oh, sorry, I've jumped too far forward. Like practical guidance, training, case studies from other industry, the opportunity to network with disability organisations, which is very important, and also support to promote all their accessibility features. So much more guidance around how they can do better. So where would tourism businesses look for support? Not surprisingly, tourism businesses look to either Tourism NI or their local council to help them on this journey. And that really was a key question for us, because that validated the need for our work going forward. So key takeaways, I suppose there were low ratings for overall accessibility of tourism businesses, the promotion of accessibility and awareness in this area. And positively, there were high ratings for knowing accessibility is the right thing to do. So that's a great starting point for us. And high ratings also for knowing that great improvements can and should be made. And thank you to you all for coming today, because that shows your commitment to this journey as well. And now in Tourism NI and with local council partners and others, we now know what businesses need to help them on this journey. So, what now? So based on our research, we now have a clear and informed plan for our inclusive and accessible tourism journey. So we need to provide you, our tourism industry, with practical supports and information, because we do appreciate that you have a range of other things on your plate to deal with as running a tourism business, and this is another important part. So we need to provide you with practical supports and information. We need to help you, and we need to help you then accurately promote your accessibility story so that visitors can plan their stay. So we're able to provide that giant bulk and provide that planning for visitors before they come, and that's why we're here today. So we're delighted to update you today on our brand new Inclusive and Accessible Toolkit, which we are launching. We have licensed this from our colleagues in Visit Britain, who developed this with the input of their Inclusive Tourism Working Group. And that has significant representation from disability groups and organisations. So this is really developed in partnership with users' experience, with lived experience. So it's really appropriate for the tourism industry. And I just want to show you now a quick video which highlights it rather than me talking about it. Okay, so the toolkit then is really aimed specifically at tourism businesses, so ranging from small micro businesses right up to medium-sized visitor attractions and hotels, etc. So it gives you the guidance and the practical theory on inclusive tourism, but it's also very practical, and we were very clear in trying to make it as practical as possible. So it's got checklists and downloadable toolkits for you to use both in your businesses and with your staff as well. And we've worked with experts in this field, tilting the lens to ensure that the content is really relevant for here in Northern Ireland. So there's all the contributors to the Visit Britain toolkit. So you can see it's really informed by best practice, and that's more about their inspirational case studies. So yeah, tourism businesses, as you all know, learn better from each other. And with this in mind, the toolkit has around 13 case studies showing best practice across a range of different areas. So we've case studies looking at physical and sensory disabilities, blind, low vision, and visitors with assistant dogs. And we're looking forward to Guide Dogs NI later on today. And we also look at, say, non-visible disabilities and dementia. So we really encourage you to check out these case studies and see what other tourism businesses are already doing in this area and doing it really well. So, as well as the toolkit, we also have some additional support for you and your teams in the form of dedicated e-learning modules, and they're designed to allow you to dip in and progress at a time that suits your schedule. So the toolkit is quite detailed. No, you wouldn't sit down and read it all in one go, and hence we would recommend taking it in bite-sized chunks, and the modules are fantastic at helping you look at a particular area or topic of interest, and you can pick what you want to learn more about. So please do log on and learn at My Tourism NI. And Aoife from our team today, Aoife, I love doing that, panics her, is here to help you. If you haven't got signed up for our e-learning platform, Aoife is here today to help you get logged on and get started learning. So please do have a chat with Aoife or any of the team here today and make the most out of your time here this morning. And we are starting to make some progress in this area. And last year, we were absolutely delighted to deliver our first ever tour guiding course for the deaf community in Belfast, alongside Belfast City Council, Belfast Met and Visit Belfast. And we now have 8 members of the deaf community who hold a guiding qualification, which is fantastic. And we're delighted to say we're now planning to extend this programme here in Derry this year in partnership with Foyle Deaf Association, Northwest Regional College with Leanne and the team there, and Derry and Strabane District Council with Katrina. So we're really looking forward to seeing some new deaf tour guides in the city for ahead of the peak season in the summer. So hopefully you find that insightful, sort of set the scene for why we're here today. And my key takeouts are, I suppose, take some time to review the toolkit and look at it one area at a time. Try out the e-learning modules. They're really nice and handy. They're bite-sized. You can dip in and out of it with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and just get started. It may seem daunting, and it was really daunting even for us as an internal working group. We were like, how do we do this? What if we don't do it right? We could be criticised. What if we don't use the right language? But, we just had to get started, and we had to get started somewhere. And hopefully with our supports and the insights from today, you'll see that, it's not about massive changes or infrastructure. There's many small changes that we can all make to embed inclusivity at the heart of our tourism proposition. And we really then can all work together to make sure that we're extending that giant welcome to everybody, because that's what everybody deserves. So throughout today, we're going to show you some examples of what other businesses are doing for inspiration. And some of these examples have come to us from our colleagues in Belfast City Council. So thank you, Wendy and all the team there, for sharing these with us. And so we're going to hear, first of all, from a really popular hospitality business, which is Lavery's Bar in Belfast.
Lavery's family-owned bar.
My name's Owen O'Toole and I'm an operations coordinator for Lavery's. Lavery's Bar and the Woodworkers, it's been one of Belfast's oldest and longest running family run bars. The way I think of it is we kind of tailor having something for everyone, so there's cocktails, there's drinks, there's food, there's pool. It's just, you're trying to create a business and environment where anyone can come and have a really, really good time. I think you want to be inclusive of everyone, of all types of people. You wouldn't necessarily want to treat anyone differently if they just had that type of ailment or any sort of disability. We welcome everyone, and we want to make it as a comfortable environment for everyone as possible. It's also about access, really. So when the Woodworkers was created, we had the ability to put in our disabled lift. That obviously helps people in wheelchairs, people with accessibility issues to access the top floor. We've got different access points for toilets and stuff, put in ramps and steps, so there's always options of easier ways for people to get around and feel like they can access the whole bar and not they're restricted to one level because they might not be able to access stairs or things like that. And just making sure they've everything available that everyone else has available, toilets and every type of facility that they would need. We'd work with different groups that would come in, like the Now group and stuff. So we would have some staff members that would have different disabilities, but they've incorporated themselves into the bar. They're more than welcome. They thrive within the industry. They're maybe a little bit, maybe struggle at first, but I think anyone that we find, they've enjoyed it more. They've opened themselves up. Maybe if they're a little bit shy when they first kind of start, or they're not too sure around social cues and stuff, it's the best way to get around because you're constantly immersed in the environment. So put yourself in a customer's mindset. If you were coming in, say you were in a wheelchair, you had any form of accessibility issue, and kind of walk around your business and look and think, would this be easy for me to move? We were lucky enough that when the Woodworkers was created, we had that opportunity to put in the disabled lift, to put in more disabled toilets, ramps and access points and stuff like that. So it's putting yourself in the mindset of your customer and trying to create somewhere that's accessible for everyone, really.
Okay, so we'll have a few more of those sort of case studies peppered throughout the day. So that's it from me, sort of with all the research and the stats in the background. And I would now like to hand you back I feel pressure now to really big Jamie up since he said I smelled really nice. So I'm going to hand back to our host with the most, Jamie. Thank you.